Now that we know what deposits and withdrawals are, we're going to talk about recording our deposits and withdrawals. All transactions, including deposits, checks, debit card purchases, additional fees, and ATM use, should be recorded in a check register immediately after completion. If your check register is kept up to date, it will always provide you with your current balance. Let's take a look at a check register. The first thing we have here on the left is the number or code. This is where you will enter the check number, located on the top right of the check. If a debit card or ATM was used, use a code such as DC or ATM. Next we have the date. This is where you enter the date the check was written or the day the transaction was made. Next we have the transaction description. This is where you enter the person or business the check was written to or where the ATM or debit card was used. The gray line can be used to write a memo for budgeting purposes. Next we have the debit or the payment. This is where you enter the amount of the transaction, deducted from the balance. We have the check. This is a box used to track whether the check has cleared on the monthly bank statement when we reconcile at the end of each month. We also have a box for a fee, if there was any fee. This is where you enter any extra fees charged to the account listed on the bank statement. We also have the deposit or the credit. This is where you enter the amount of the transaction added to the balance. And finally, we have our balance. This is where you enter the balance, which is a running total, calculated by adding or subtracting each transaction. Keep this updated. Now that we know all the different parts of a check register, let's practice. Your current balance is $157.03. So you always enter your current balance at the top, the first box. So we're going to enter $157.03. On December 15th, you wrote check 104 for $25.25 to Best Buy for CDs. So our first step is to enter our check number. Then we enter our date. We put our transaction description, which is going to be Best Buy, followed by our memo on the gray line, which we purchased CDs. And since we purchased something, this was a payment, so it was for $25.25. And then we keep a running balance of our total. So we subtract the $25.25 from our current balance, and we get $131.68. On December 16th, you purchased a sweatshirt from US West. You wrote check 105 for $35.34. First things first, enter the check number, followed by the date. Then we do our transaction description, which is US West. Do our memo. We purchased a sweatshirt. We do the amount, which again is a debit because it is money coming out of our account. It was a payment for $35.34. And then we subtract this from our balance of $131.68, and that gives us a new balance of $96.34. On December 16th, you deposited your $314.89 paycheck. So this transaction is going to look a little bit different. Instead of putting in a check number, we're going to put in a code, such as DEP for deposit. We're still going to put the date. We're going to put a description. So we're going to put paycheck. We're not going to be putting the amount under payment or debit. It's going to go under deposit or credit. It was for $314.89. And then we get our running total by adding this, and it's $411.23. The next day, on December 17th, you transferred $100 to your savings account. Again, we're going to use a code for a transfer, such as trans. We're going to enter the date, which was the 17th of December. We're going to put a transaction description, which is transfer to savings. And again, this is money leaving our account now. So it goes back under the payment or the debit, and we subtract it to get our current balance. So we now have $311.23 in our account. You now know how to fill out your check register. Don't forget to bring your notes to class.